Hey everybody, back with another video that I've been waiting to do for a while. I had picked up this HP 10529A logic comparator a while back, and I guess I wanted to do a video on how to use it, but also how to test it and potentially how to repair it, because this one actually does need repair. But then recently I was able to get another one, so now I have actually two. So I figured what I'd do real quick is just open up these boxes, show you what's inside, and then let's start with a self-test and a continuity test on the logic comparator itself. Alright, so this is the first one I picked up. It has a manual, and maybe somebody's like wondering, what the heck does a logic comparator do? Basically, this is old too. I think this is, let's see how old this thing is. I mean, this was made in the 70s. This manual was printed in 1971, which is quite old. And so basically, what this logic comparator does is it compares any dual inline chip, integrated chip like this. See if you can see that. This is a 54 or 74 174. Anyway, basically it doesn't require any power. It gets its power from the logic chip itself. So this is the actual logic comparator right here, and it has obviously an IC clip, which it gets power and ground from the board under test, and then you have a reference, so a known good IC chip as your reference chip, and you put that in, and I think it goes upside down, or is it upside right? I haven't even used this yet for the first time, so we're kind of learning it together. And you put that reference in there, and then it has these LEDs that would light up if the chip under test on the board you're testing is different than your reference chip. These lights, these LEDs inside there will light up. So that's really what it does. It doesn't require you having to break out the logic analyzer. It's a very basic test, just comparing the logic state of the chip on the board with the logic state of a known good reference chip, and alerting you if it's bad or different, I should say. So this one that I got actually has the comparator, obviously. Each one from the factory came with 10 blank reference ID cards. So the one I picked up actually has a whole bunch of reference chips and cards already configured, and I'm hoping to cover exactly how to do that in this video. I might break it up into multiple videos, I don't know. But this one actually came with way more than 10. 18 chips. And it also comes, this one came with a self-test card. So this card here is what we're going to use next, is actually to test the logic comparator function to make sure it's functioning correctly, as an example. And what else did I get? I have a logic probe, so a 1010525T logic probe, which you can use, has a BNC connector. And also, and I don't know what I'm going to hook this BNC connector up to. I have to read the directions on this. But this is a logic pulser. So we could basically use this to create a logic pulse on a chip, and then you can use your probe to either sense that pulse. Actually, oh, here's my BNC connector, so I can hook up to positive and negative on the board under test, and then connect my BNC to that power source like that, which is kind of cool. So got that, and let me tell you, that probe is sharp as heck. That is the sharpest probe I've ever seen. I'm going to put that to the side. It also has some other stuff. Oops. Usually they came with a drill bit, so you can actually modify these boards, and I'll show you that in a later part of the video probably. So that's what this one came with. Let me pause and show you what the other one. So this one came with, looks like a manual. I'm opening it for the first time right here. Got some blank labels. Let's see, from a manual standpoint, we got a supplement service manual, so they must have had, that says 1974. So they must have had some reprinting of the original manual that they had corrections on. Then a regular manual. This one's in great shape. This one says 1973, so this one's obviously a little bit newer than the other one. And then some different updates to the manual. Oh wow, they must have made this for a long time, because this says change date 1986, so maybe this isn't as old as I thought. They must have made this for quite a long time, this instrument itself. That's it. The manual print date was 1973, but the update was 1986, so I assume that this one is from 1986. Now it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just like the other manual said. Came with 10 comparators, I guess, or reference cards, I guess is what you call them. And then this here. And the reason I got this one is because I saw that it looked almost like never used. I mean, this thing is in beautiful shape compared to that other one I have. The window is even slightly different. It's clear. I mean, it is just looks like it's almost brand new out of the box. The other thing that this one had, and another reason why I picked it up, is instead of using these reference cards like this and configuring them on a per chip basis, because once you set this reference card up with a chip, with a reference chip, it's, you know, it's done. You know, I mean, you can only use it for that chip or that reference IC. This is the universal reference IC, so you can actually put in anything here and then just set the dip switches based off of what the chip is. And I have that, and also another one. So it actually came with two of these, which means now I can put one with the other one and have another working set with a universal card. And it also came with two self-test units. So here's one self-test unit here, and another self-test unit. Right there. I guess I had it upside right. So that's the self-test unit there, and we're gonna use that. The other thing it had was this, which is probably, looks like two drill bits for your reference cards, so you can make your own reference cards. Yep, 2 drill bits. So it's almost like, sorry about that. It's almost like there was, in this one container, or in this one, you know, setup, there was enough cards for actually 2 logic comparators itself. So anyway, that's what came in the box. I don't think there's anything else. No. This one's just in really good shape, and that's why I picked it up, even though I already had one. So let's do a, let's see, one last thing is I have this power supply here that I use to power up hard drives, and I just have like a little adapter that I can actually hook up 5 volts, 12 volts pretty easily. So that's what I'm going to use to power up the self-test card. Be right back. Alright, so this is the, what is it, serial number, you probably can't see that, but it's 2204A. So this is the newer one. We're going to take our test setup here. This is ground, and this is 5 volt. And we're going to put this into here. Whoops. hopefully get it so it's in there. There we go. So that's all we have to do, and then we're going to hook up our negative lead to our ground and our positive to our 5 volts there. Hopefully you can see this okay. And then now I'm going to plug it in, and what we should see is these lights on here blinking about once every 2 seconds. And hopefully you can see that. And every single one of them is blinking. I don't see any out. 1002, 1002. Yeah. So that means that this comparator is working correctly, which is good. And you have an on light, etc. So let me unplug that. And I don't think it said anything else, but while we're waiting, I might as well use this other, since I have 2 test cards. Let's hook up our other logic comparator here. This is an older one. It's the prefix is 1112A, so this is definitely a lot older. But the cards should be interchangeable, obviously. Should be. There we go. Alright, got that one in. Hook up our negative to our negative, positive to our positive, plug in our 5 volts. And we have some interesting activity here. So we have pin 1 is solid, and looks like pin 14 and pin 3. So we have some troubleshooting to do with this logic comparator. It obviously is failing the self-test. So that, I think that'll be the next thing that we want to do, is actually troubleshoot this thing here real quick. To see if I would get different results, I grabbed the testing card. Gosh, I need to figure out what the right term is. From the original that came with this one, this older unit here. And let's just see if the results are the same, because it is an older tester card. We'll plug in our power source. Yep, results are the same. We got solid lights on pin 1. Oh yeah, yep. Pin 1, pin 3 is blinking, not at the same interval that it should, and then pin 14. Is that pin 14, 16? Yeah. Alright, so let me unplug that, and then let's open this thing up and see what we can do. One thing that always bothered me when I first got this is this whole, the logic clip attachment was wrapped in electrical tape, so I'm assuming that the cable is frayed or potentially damaged, so I wanted to take this off. I don't think that's what's causing our problem, but I am going to take off all this electrical tape, and potentially, if I have to, rewire this logic clip if I have to, and put shrink wrap on it or something instead of this electrical tape. So I'm going to do that, and then I think there's 2 screws right here that I have to take this case to get this case apart and get the comparator's board out of there. I got to take out these 2 bolts right there. So I'm going to do that, and then I got all the electrical tape off, and I don't know what was on there before, but it was definitely disintegrating. That's probably why they wrapped it in electrical tape, because you can see maybe the remnants of some rubber coating and some white insulation or something, but it was all just completely gone. So that's probably why they put electrical tape on there. But regardless, hopefully I can figure out how to get some heat shrink tubing and make it a lot better than what it was. So, all right, let me get that disconnected and take it apart. Okay, so I got the 2 hex screws out from that end. We're going to pull it out, flip it over, and let's see here, hopefully remove these 2 screws right here. I might need a different screw. I got a number 1 Phillips, I think, instead. Oh, my head's in the way of the light. There we go. Doing this the first time here. Now what can we do? Let me check the directions. I think you're supposed to pull this back out. There we go. Pull it out this way. And take that out. And then we're able to get the whole thing out that way. So there we go. That is the inside right there. Okay, so these are all soldered. If I wanted to slide, I don't know how I'm going to get shrink wrap tubing over that unless I desolder all of these and mark the locations. I probably can do that. What a pain. So we'll see. We'll see. Make sure this, yeah, that can only go one way. So alright, we're good. Let me pause and come back when I have something interesting. Alright, so I've been messing with this a little bit, and I ordered some parts, so I figured I'd catch you guys up real quick to what's going on here. As you can see here, with the self-test module plugged in, my line 1, line 2, line 3 are not working as expected, as well as line 14. And on the schematic, if I zoom in, let's see here, if I can zoom in, hopefully you can see this okay. Where are we at here? DS1 is right here, so that's the LED. DS1, DS2, DS3, and DS4, and they all share these 3 LEDs, and the circuits here share this U1 and U2 on all of those, and that's right here. This is one of these is U1. I'm not sure which one. I have to look at it. One of these is U1, one of them is U2, and then if we look at the schematic and trace those lines down, they come into U7B here. Hopefully you can see that okay. Which is, I think this is an exclusive OR, I'm pretty sure. I have to look it up, but this is I think this is an exclusive OR, so that, what does that mean? I think that means only the odd. So if both of these 5 and 6 are low, then this will be low. If 5 and 6 are high, then this will be low. But if either one of them is, this is a 0 and this is a 1, then this will be a 1. That's how that works. So to test that, I actually have to flip this over, and I figured I would use I'm going to use this logic probe which has an audio signal on it first, and then we're going to trace the lines coming from the test unit down here. Let's see, zoom in a little bit again. So we're going to come in here and test line 5 and 6 of U7B. Look at those and compare it to, on the same chip, line 9 and 8, because that goes to DS4, which is working correctly. So I can look at 9 and 8 and the output on 10 and compare that to 12, 13, which is DS3, which is the third LED, and this is the second LED, and this is the first LED. So I'm going to do that right now. I'll be right back. Alright, so in the manual you can see it has a nice picture here that shows you where all the chips are. And so basically I just flipped over my unit to make sure it matches, and this is U7. Right up here is U7, and that's the common chip here, to one of the common chips to those 4 lines that are bad. So if we look at line, we'll just go in order, line 1 and 2. Hopefully you guys, I'll zoom out just a little bit so you can actually see, hopefully. I don't know, yeah, okay, you can't see it. Okay, so that's the signal coming from that would be for, that's line 1 of that chip, which is for DS2, the LED number 2, and that is coming from the pulse being generated by the test card. And you can kind of hear it's like high and then 2 lows and then a high. It's like low and then high. And then let's compare that to, well, the output of that goes to 3. And it's just solid low. So right there we already know there's something going on with this chip, because it definitely shouldn't be just low. Let's look at line 4, which DS4, which we know is good. It's going to be pin 10 is the output. 8, 9, 10. Oh, it is supposed to be low, actually. Yeah, 10 is low. Seven, 8, 9, 10. $11 is the output for 3. Yeah, so the inputs look right. We know the test card's working because we tested it in something else. But I think the output's supposed to be low. Now this one is the output for number 3, and it's toggling, which I don't think it should be doing. It should be low. These are the inputs to that one, and let's see, 5 and 6. Output is 4 for the first one, and it's tied high. That would be for DS1. So what does DS1 look like? It's just stuck on. DS1 is stuck on. DS2 is off, and DS3 is toggling at not the correct rate. Is flashing at not the correct rate, as you can see down here. So I think this chip is bad, and I think it is a LS. It's not a LS. It's like an L86, and an LS replacement is a LS386. So I ordered that chip, and I'm going to replace that chip. So because based off of 1 and 2, we know that's the input, and then that being just stuck, well, that one's stuck low, which is normal, but number 4 is stuck high, which is not normal. So if we check all the outputs, let's see. Output is 4 and 3 and 4 are outputs. So we know they're not behaving the same. One's stuck low and one's high. And then 10 and 11 are outputs. That's 10, which is low, which should be. And 11 is also low, which it should be. Oh, I'm doing the wrong chip, duh. 10, 11. Yeah, 11's not right. So we know this chip is not acting right, and all the input signals are the same. Yeah, all the input signals are the same. So that chip, I think, is going to... It might be more stuff wrong, but I know I got to replace that chip, so that's where we're going to start. All right, so I got a new chip in there, and let's see if I can zoom in on this here. This is an LS386, and if you look at the HP part number, you can see that it's a 1820-0598. Those are all LS386s, or you can L86s, or what they are. So you cannot do LS86. It has to be LS386 or an L86. I guess if I'll link to a thread on Clove about this as well, so you can find more information. But I have not powered it up. Let's hook up our my little tester here and see what we get. Get a positive and a negative, and hope that this thing fixes at least one of the lights or something. Well, looks like we're all good here. Fixed every single one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, those are all working. So now we have LED number 14 that is stuck on. And because these are flashing, the ones that 14 are a part of, I don't know, I have to look at the schematic, but it's in groups of 4. The LEDs are controlled in groups of 4 by the TTL logic chips. Because these other 3 are working, it doesn't mean all the chips are good, but I'm thinking it's some other component, like a diode or something else to number 14. But let me pause and probe around a little bit and see what I can find. Alright, well, this didn't take me long. Let me take this off of the tripod here. Sorry for the shadow there, but you can see this is the diode, the LED number 14, and if that's A8 line, and A8, when it comes in from the test card, is actually this A4 here. So comes in A4 and goes to U5 pin 1 and 2, and that is the exclusive OR, I guess. Yeah, that's exclusive OR. So 1 and 2 goes to 3, and so we can compare that to this line 15, which is right next to it, that's using the same chip, U5, pin 8 and 9, or pin 12 or 11, or pin 5 and 6 and 4. So we can compare the output of 3 and 4, really, to see what we get there. So let's do that real fast. I went ahead and labeled the chips here. Plug it in if I can. And where's my logic probe? Alright, so we're comparing. Oh, here's 1, and then 2, and 3 is the output, and it's just like the other one we had on the other side. I think it was like pin 3 or 2 or something like that. It's stuck high. Pin 4 is low, and the inputs for pin 4 is 5 and 6. So the same signals on 5 and 6 are causing a consistent low on pin 4, but pin 3 is high. So we got another bad LS386, so I'm going to replace that and come back. Alright, I got that chip replaced, which is U5, I believe. Yep, that's U5. So let's go ahead and power it back on and see what we get. Hopefully it's completely fixed now. Uh-oh. Something ain't right. What the heck? Alright, let me double check all my cards are put in. Alright, yeah, I double checked everything, and it looks like everything is blinking on time except for LED 1, 2, 3, 4, which is kind of new. But it wouldn't have anything to do with the chip we just replaced, which was U5. So it looks like there's probably another bad chip that's causing it to, be out of sequence like that. I'm not sure, because it's definitely blinking faster. It's supposed to blink every 2 seconds. 1, 1000, 2. Yeah, it's like blinking a half second before the other ones. This might be interesting to figure out. I don't know what the heck that's going to be. Alright, let me do some digging and see what I find out. Alright, I'm back real quick. Because the test card is what's actually generating the signal, and I think the counter. I'd have to do some more reading or something. But basically I replaced, since I had an extra test card, try that one, and my LEDs are flashing correctly. So something went haywire with this test card, which I'll have to save that for a different video to fix that test card, or maybe I'll just fix it on my own without videotaping it. So while we have this out, let's put our test clip on the dummy and do the second test mode you can do is when you put this test clip on this dummy IC that's down here. So there's 2 test modes that you do. One is just like we are now, which is test number 1. And all of these lights should be blinking just like they are, on every 2 seconds. And then we put this test clip on this test dummy IC, and we should have test mode 2, and I'll come right back and explain. Alright, so that was test mode 1, and what it says is, in the manual, is in test mode 1, these blink. There's 2 lines. There's a B line and an A line, and these blink when the B line pulses in test mode 1. In test mode 2, what you do is you take this logic clip and you actually put it on this. This is a dummy IC right here. There's nothing, it's not really an IC, it's just pins that are soldered to connections. You put it on that way with this eye up here with pin 1 up that way. And basically the A line is shorted, and the B line, all these lights here should pulse long and then short. So they should go on for a long period of time and then go off, and then a short pulse after that. So let's power it on and see if that's what we get. Yep, long and then short, long and then short. So yeah, each one is lighting up, so that means I think our IC connector continuity is good all the way through. So it looks like this is fixed. I'll reassemble it. I'm not gonna, in this video, I think it's getting a little long, so I'm not gonna actually figure out what I'm gonna do here with this to protect this cabling there. I'll have to do that later. But in this video, I think I'm gonna wrap up, since we did an overview and a fix, and then we'll come back and actually do some reference cards and maybe use it with the universal card as well, which is kind of cool. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I look forward to learning more about this and how to use it, and hopefully sharing it with you too. Bye.